That was Norman, I heard. How's everybody else doing? Well, welcome once again to our event. We hope you're having a great Power Summit so far. So every year at this event, we try to spotlight somebody up here on stage who's either a recent Counselor Award winner or someone who's gaining influence in the market. And Phil Koosed, who's the founder and president of top 40 distributor BAMKO, fits into both of those categories. So Phil, thanks for being here and welcome. So I'd say, Phil, the big news in the industry over the past 4 or 5 days or so is that BAMKO hired Jill Albers, who's on our Power 50 list. And I know from our reporting that at least 5 different top 40 distributors wanted to hire Jill. How did you guys get it done?
You have to ask Jill that question. We tried real hard, but we're really excited to have Jill as part of the team. Our entire team is so pumped up about that. As everyone knows here in this room, Jill is amazingly well respected within the industry. You know, just walking around last night, I had probably 20 people come up to me and say like, "Oh, congrats on getting Jill," followed by some sort of threat of like, "Don't mess with our girl, Jill." And I was like, "Okay." She's just
that was Michelle that said, "Don't mess with Jill."
There's a lot of people, and I think that it's pretty amazing to see what she's accomplished in this industry in this short amount of time she's doing.
What's going to be her role at BAMKO?
So she's going to be our Director of Client Success, which will put her into a lot of different areas of strategy, business development, RFPs, etc.
You know, up until about 1.5 years ago, I'd say not many people in the market really knew about BAMKO. And yet, you guys made that acquisition of Tangerine, and that chart that I put up there on the screen, in 2017, you know, BAMKO sales went up 90%. How did you pull that off? I mean, what's your strategy in the market? And is it different than other companies that allowed you to pull off that big jump?
I guess you're like the 5th person I've heard say that we've kind of come out of nowhere, and that for me is interesting, because I always thought that we were kind of had a high profile within the industry.
You did not.
I think I have to stop listening to my Jewish mother. She builds me up. Yeah, I think that for us, you know, our focus has always been on making the client experience incredible, and that manifests in a number of different ways, but a lot of it has to do with investments in technology, investment in world-class design, and just doing the things that I think a lot of companies maybe don't have the financial backing to do, similar to what Mitch was saying earlier.
So what about your technology is different? Is there anything globally or locally about your technology that makes it different than other distributors in the market?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, the amount we invest in technology is different. So as a percentage of our P&L, our investment in technology is probably 4 or 5 times that of other folks. Additionally, we do it all in-house. We have over 40 programmers on staff that are our own employees. That's very different than most distributors who might have 3 or 4 programmers. And that manifests into technology in a lot of different ways. It's not just throwing an online store up there and saying, we do technology. It's about how you integrate and hook into the customer base and to the vendor base. And the more that we invest in that as an industry, I think the better off we'll all be.
I mentioned your Tangerine deal a second ago. I went back and counted. There have been 24 merger and acquisition deals involving Counselor top 40 companies over the past year. Why so much activity in the market right now?
I think there's a lot of money out there on the table. Interest rates are still, although they've bumped up a bit, they're still really, really low, which makes the IRR really attractive on any of these types of deals. I think private equity has run out of deals to do in other industries, so they found our industry. I don't foresee this going on for very long, and I actually don't think that you know, if the economy wasn't booming, I don't think that private equity would be as interested, and I think that there'll be a couple that'll be there here and there, but not very much. Overall, I think it's, you know, a good thing for the business owners that are able to actually go and sell their businesses, and I think consolidation can be a good thing. I think there's a really dangerous side with some of the private equity groups that have gotten involved just with the nature of their investment time frame. I think that's pretty dangerous.
It's dangerous because of the time frame or for some other reason?
Yeah, I think that, you know, running a business with an outcome of trying to sell that business in 3 to 5 years, it goes through a cycle, and all private equity firms talk about this. It's not a hidden secret, but by year 4, year 5, you're reducing all your investment as much as possible to try to juice EBITDA to try to sell the business. Like, that's not a natural progression of any business in my mind.
Who are you going to buy next?
I don't know, anyone want to sell out there? I think that, you know, for us, we're a publicly traded company, so we don't discuss our acquisition
We won't tell.
Okay. I think that for us, it's all about finding the right fit, and the timing's got to be right for the owner of the business. The fit has to be right, and that's the most important thing for us. And at this point, we're actively looking, and we'll continue to actively look. We may wait another couple years to do an acquisition. We may do an acquisition next month. It all just depends if those criteria are hit.
I just put up another chart on the screen that really speaks to consolidation. It shows top 40 companies are accounting for more and more industry sales. Is this a problem, Phil, for the health of the market, especially for smaller companies?
I think that the smaller companies are probably in more trouble than most would care to admit right now, and so I think this is actually very healthy, assuming that the smaller companies are getting brought into the larger entities. And the reason why is because the outside force of Amazon, which I'm sure we'll discuss, that's here, and that's here in a big way, even if it hasn't made an impact yet on the business, in the overall industry. And so in my mind, I think we do have to get big, and we do have to grow significantly as a company and just overall as an industry to make the investments required to really combat outside forces.
You just alluded to Amazon, and Norm and Mitch sat up here this morning and sort of, not poo-pooed, but they really didn't come across as being all that concerned about Amazon's influence on the market. Right or wrong, that was their opinion. Where do you weigh in on that? I'm a big Terminator fan, so I believe that Amazon is Skynet and is going to eventually cause like a complete nuclear war. I'm concerned about Amazon in a really significant way. I hear what people say when they say, well, it's different, and our industry is different because the relationship is so important. They don't have that relationship. The creativity is so important. They don't have that creativity. And it sounds the same as every other industry that, I don't want to say just Amazon, but technology has disrupted. I mean, the CEO of Palm famously said a year before Apple got in the market that a PC company can't do cell phones. The Blockbuster CEO said that Netflix is not even a competitor. That was only 10 years ago he said that. And so what tends to happen, I think, with all these technologies, and Amazon is definitely one of them, is that nothing really changes, nothing really changes, nothing really changes, and everyone kind of feels comfortable with it. Like, okay, they're around our industry, but they're not doing much, and then all of a sudden, everything changes. And I fear that our industry is going to be another story of that, where everyone says, no, it's just our industry is different, and then it's not actually the case. So how's BAMKO combating that threat?
We're looking to get very big in a hurry, and not for the sake of being big, but just for the sake of all of our investments, spreading that out over a larger dollar amount. So, if I'm a $20 million company and I want to make a big investment in technology, that's a lot harder than if I'm a $200 million company. And so that's our focus. It's about growth and proper investment to be able to really invest in the client experience, because that's the only way that we're going to keep Amazon away from our customers and then any other outside force that may be coming in.
Beyond Amazon, what disruptive threats do you see in the market?
I mean, I think 3D printing, not right now, but I believe 3D printing in 5 or 6 years is going to be massively disruptive. I think that the ability for anyone, for any VP of marketing or director of marketing to go and send designs to someone's home that they can then print will massively disrupt our industry, because that will best be done probably by a few large companies and not a bunch of small companies. So I think 3D printing is going to give us a run for our money.
So what does that mean for this room? Like, what can people do about 3D printing? Do they invest in it? How do they react?
For us, that's what we're doing. We're going to invest heavily in the 3D printing side of things. We're also going to invest heavily in AI and machine learning when it comes to growing our business. And these are investments that we have to know aren't going to pay off this year or next year. They're investments that'll pay off 5 or 6 years from now. And so I would say that number one, I would look, if you're not a large business, I would probably look to partner with a large business. And number two, if you're a large business, I would look to make really heavy investment on the technology side and possibly look into the 3D printing side as well.
You're an honest guy. You're pretty straightforward. What can suppliers do better?
So I think that technology is we're really missing the mark, and it's not just a supplier thing; it's on the distributor side as well. But our cost of transaction on the distributor side and our cost of transaction on the supplier side is far too high. I look at some of the real leaders in this area. Like I think what CJ is doing with HIT is really incredible. Minus the drink of vodka that he spilled in my lap yesterday night.
You're not the only one.
But to me, I think that's the future of our industry. All of us have to be investing in technology to drive our cost of transaction down. And right now, I understand why certain suppliers aren't doing it, because a lot of the distributors aren't really demanding it or investing in it either. So it's not a knock on suppliers, it's just kind of a knock on our industry that we need to make this investment. We need to go this direction.
Here's another chart. Here's something that a lot of distributors feel, suppliers, this is a profit margin, sorry. So profit margins over the past, 5 years, I can go back 10 years from looking at state of the industry data. Profit margins, according to this data, haven't changed much. They've actually gone up. And yet, I hear all the time, as editors we hear all the time, nah, my margins are so squeezed, I'm not sure how I'm going to survive. So Phil, who's lying? Is that data wrong, or are people lying in this room to us?
I think that data is correct. I think that talking about margins being tough and things changing is just something that people, it's kind of the, like, how's the weather type of thing at a conference. Hey Bob, how's it going? Good, margin's tough. Oh yeah, I know, I'm feeling it too. I think people just say that. I think overall the margins are really healthy, and in our business the margins continue to be healthy, and I haven't really felt that pressure at all.
Are your margins higher than 25?
Yes.
Higher than 30?
Yes.
Higher than 35?
Yes.
Higher than 40?
Yes.
Okay.
Keep going, keep going.
Higher than 50?
Yes.
That's pretty good.
No, I'm just kidding around with that. We're a publicly traded company. Our margin's like 30%.
Yeah.
A little bit below the...
Let's move on. Forget that. I wanted to put up a chart, and it's okay, that shows that distributors tell us that 93% of orders from suppliers arrive on time. 93% of orders, according to distributors, from suppliers arrive on time. And to me, that number, that hasn't changed in years. So you see 93%. Is that good enough?
I think it's close to good enough, but I think that some of that probably is in the hands of some of the freight forwarders and UPS and FedEx and whatnot. And I hate to be a broken record on this, but I think that human error, when we look at why orders don't ship out on the supplier side,
there's my chart.
It's mostly human error on our side or human error on the supplier side. And so that again goes back to the technology front and the investment in technology. I think that if that's going to go up, because you're right, it has been stagnant for quite some time, we have to eliminate a lot of those human errors. I don't think we'll ever get to 100%, but I think we can do better than 93.
Yeah. In fairness, it's distributors, bear some of that responsibility as well, not just suppliers.
100%.
Are you okay with companies going direct?
Suppliers?
Suppliers or distributors, because distributors do it too.
I'm perfectly fine with suppliers going direct. It's hard for us to continue to work with a supplier going direct because we're giving them all of our confidential information on our customers, who they are, what they like to order, when they order. So if a supplier of ours is going direct, that doesn't really work for us, but I'm perfectly fine with them doing it.
Okay. By show of hands, how many of you suppliers in the audience are not going to publish prices in your catalogs in 2019 because of tariffs? Close your eyes, or don't. How many suppliers aren't going to publish prices because of tariffs? So a handful. Okay, thank you for being honest. I appreciate that. How worried, Phil, are you about that and about tariffs in general?
Yeah, I think overall the general trade war, China has more to lose than the U.S. has to lose, but China's also not a democracy, so I fear that this is something we'll come out on the losing side on. I could see it going similar to NAFTA, where basically eventually there's some deal that gets made in which both sides claim victory, but really not much has changed. That's what I'm hoping for. I think it could be a painful first quarter if we get to that next level tick up. I mean, already this has cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars, or cost our customers hundreds of thousands of dollars, just on some orders that are in process right now, and it's going to go into the millions here shortly. And so, I think that pain hasn't fully kicked in, hasn't fully gone downstream. When it does, I expect a deal will probably be made. I can't imagine this being the story of all of 2019. I could be wrong, but I think that eventually there'll be some real pressure to make a deal, and a deal will be made in which everyone supposedly has won or has declared victory.
How do you intend to talk to your customers about tariffs and pricing?
I mean, we've been very proactive about it for the last 6 months. We've written white papers, we've gotten out ahead of it, we've given pricing saying here's with tariffs, without tariffs. And so all of our customers know what's coming down the pipeline. But in general, all of our pricing will have a with tariff price and a without tariff price. And if the tariffs don't kick in, then their price will get reduced. It creates a bit of an accounting nightmare, and there's some technological changes we have to make on the back end to make sure we do that right. But we think it's important.
We've talked a bunch before this session, and you feel that the industry can grow and double its size, which surprised me because, look, I hear people talk to me and say, yeah, 3 or 4% growth a year, that's our cap in the industry. We have a couple quarters of 5%, we're doing really well. How in the world can this industry double in size?
I think we just have to be more ad agency and less tchotchke. For the most part, marketing execs pour money into things without any kind of ROI. I mean, at this point, there's still $200 billion a year globally spent on television ads. That's money that is all up for grabs because no one's watching commercials on TV anymore. If they are, it's only during sporting events. So when you look at this massive juggernaut of where all the spend has been going for years and years and years, and still is something that hasn't been unseated, it's a huge opportunity for us. But if we're just the tchotchke guys that are the last thought for a CMO that's putting together a conference, then I don't think we get that market share. If we can transform the way that we think of ourselves and the way that CMOs and VPs of marketing think about our industry, then we can actually go and get a good chunk of that market share. And we don't have to get 80% of it. We have to get like 10% of that, and we'll double in size. And so that's where I'd like to see our industry go.
How will artificial intelligence change the market?
I think that'll be significant across the board in all industries, but in our industry, I think it's going to eliminate the need for a lot of different roles within our industry. I think on the order processing side and the creative side, I think a lot of people that had jobs probably won't have jobs 7 or 8 years from now, simply because of the fact they've been replaced by a computer that does it better and cheaper and faster. So I think it's going to massively disrupt our industry. I know that's the kind of cliche talking point that everyone says, but it's pretty clear cut to see a lot of the stuff that we're doing in our industry is repetitive and could be done better by AI. So I think once those investments are made, our industry will shrink in terms of headcount.
So that means roles will change?
I hope
jobs going.
I hope so. I mean, that's the most optimistic view is that roles change and we're able to do more of a value add. I think the more realistic view is that we probably will just lose certain jobs. There'll probably be certain roles that aren't around, and people won't be able to repurpose to a higher value add within the business. We're certainly going to do everything we possibly can to combat that. But I think we're fighting a bit of a current here.
I appreciate everyone's patience. I know that you guys are getting hungry for lunch. We're going to go to lunch in just a moment. To finish up, Phil, we're going to play a little word association. So I'm going to give you a word or phrase,
okay,
and I want you to give me a word back. You ready? Prop 65.
Overkill.
Halo branded solutions.
Starbelly. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Fidget spinner.
Recall.
Work at home.
Hanging out with your kids.
He speaks the truth. Data security.
It's data security. I would say illusion.
Illusion, okay. Social media.
Crack cocaine.
Buying groups.
Fun parties.
2019.
Artificial intelligence.
Okay, there you have it. Phil Koosed, everybody, please give him a big round of applause. Now, do not leave just yet. There's a couple